And we're into week 12 of the high school football season, and that means it's time again for another preview review on WHBCSports.com. John Bozico along with you, and again, I have my man, the road man, Kenny Roda, standing here with me, and we're going to talk high school football through 11 weeks and preview some of the matchups coming up this weekend. And we'll start first taking a look at last weekend. And Kenny, you weren't with the crew on Friday as McKinley beat Solon to advance to round 2 of the playoffs, but Saturday you saw an impressive win for East Canton over an Ashtabula St. John team where their quarterback Cody Vacco and their running back Nathaniel Sutheimer really kind of managed the game.
They really did. The athleticism was on full display for everybody to see in that game. Coach Spider Miller raves about these kids, not only what they do on the field athletically, but the type of kids they are. They were prepared, and from the get-go, East Canton was the most dominant team they could be that night. They did everything well in that game and cruised to, what was it, a 53-13 win.
Yes.
And it wasn't that close. We had a running clock to start the third quarter. They got out in space and used their speed. Vacco and Natty were able to run the ball and do whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. Defensively, they were solid, and Spider Miller was very pleased with the way his kids came out and took care of business. They get a rematch this week, and we'll get to that, against Cuyahoga Heights. And when I talked to Spider Miller after the game, he wasn't sure if, at the time, who they were going to play. I said, well, I know who it's going to be. It's going to be Cuyahoga Heights. And he said, good. So they're looking forward to that matchup. But a very impressive performance. Second straight year they had a home playoff game. 3 years Spider Miller's been there. They've been to the playoffs all 3 years, so he's growing that program. The kids love him. The faculty loves him. The fans love him. So it's a great fit for Spider Miller, a guy who's been at Massillon, McKinley. He knows how important football is in Stark County, and he treats the D7 program like it's a D1 program. And I'm curious to see how they do this week.
It's going to be a tough matchup against the Cuyahoga Heights team that beat them last year in the exact same spot in the playoffs. It wasn't really close either, and I'm sure that's stuck with a lot of the kids because they returned a lot of that team from last season. It's funny, I talked to Spider earlier this year, and I talked to him about advancing into the playoffs, and he said it really doesn't mean much until you get to weeks 14 and 15. So he knows exactly what it's going to take to keep advancing. So other two games that we have this weekend, one is our stream game. Massillon will play against Whitehall Yearling at Mansfield, and then the other is the radio game, and that's where McKinley will play Mentor at Brunswick. Fast break football against Dan Reardon and some kids who are really playing good football. After 2 straight losses, for them to come out and win a playoff game, it's huge for the program, huge for Coach Reardon, and just huge for the community as a whole.
And I picked McKinley to bounce back. I felt the way they played in that Massillon loss impressed me as if they won the game. And Solon, to me, I thought it was a great matchup for McKinley. They didn't have to face the Saints, St. Ed's or St. Ignatius. They got away from those in the first round, and they go to Solon on the road and win it 28-15. The athleticism of McKinley against this Mentor team is going to be something I think Mentor hasn't seen yet, and they've seen St. Ignatius and St. Ed's, and they lost to the Solon team that McKinley just beat. So this is going to be a great matchup. We think of Mentor as, like you said, fast break football, but they're more about running the ball and playing defense this year than they have been maybe in years past. They've got a sophomore quarterback in Ian Kipp. I'm learning their roster as we're taping this right now, and he's not counted on to do everything that the Tanskis or the Trubiskys did in the past. They've got a running back in Brian Trobel, who's rushed for over 1,200 yards, over 20 touchdowns. He's only 5'7", 5'8", but he puts his foot in the ground, and he can go every which way. And so the running game is their strength, but they still can throw the football if they have to. But defensively is where they feel, or at least some people that I've talked to associated with Mentor football, they feel that's what's going to get them maybe to a state championship game again like they were there last year. So McKinley's athleticism, though, is going to challenge that defense. Dan Reardon, I know, is excited about the opportunity after winning his first playoff game with the McKinley Bulldogs of going on, well, it's a road game because it's a neutral site, so it's not at Mentor, but it's in Brunswick, and so he's excited about going up to Brunswick and taking on this challenge with a team that was very young coming in to start the season, but has grown leaps and bounds as the season has gone on, and here they are playing in week 12, and that's what you want.
Always a good feeling to be playing later games in the playoffs than just week 11. One more name to watch out for, Bulldog fans. Noah Potter, off of that defensive front for Mentor. Ohio State obviously has recruited him, so he's very good. When Urban Meyer puts a stamp on him, you know he's a good player. You can catch Kenny this Friday. He'll be with the radio crew at Brunswick. McKinley against Mentor, 7 p.m. kick there. You can also catch him on the Stadium Show beforehand, the All Care Stadium Show. Then the stream game, WHBCSports.com. It will be myself and Derek Philo along with you, as we'll be at Mansfield as Whitehall Yearling will take on the Massillon Tigers.
Hey, let me interrupt you real quick. Good thing for Massillon. They played there last year. So, again, it's a road game because you're not playing at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium where they've played like every game this year.
8.
But 9, isn't it 9?
9, it's
yeah,
9.
counting the playoff game, right? So 9 out of their 11 have been at Paul Brown Tiger Stadium. They're 11-0. But it's good for Nate Moores. I had him on the show. He said, we played there last year, so we're familiar with the field, the locker room, and the surroundings, so that's a positive for Massillon.
Always a good feeling when you know what's around you and you've seen those surroundings before. You can ask any sports team that. Then Saturday night again, it'll be Dan, Joe, Denny, and Chris Golian on the sideline, as it'll be East Canton against Cuyahoga Heights. That game will be at Hudson. He's Kenny Roda. I'm John Bozika, and we'll catch you next time on the Preview Review on WHBCSports.com.